Hello guys, my name is CS2. In this video I would like to tell the most important points after ECL podcast about AWPers. So they basically did that, they also did before for IGLs and coaches, which was, I would say, more interesting just because there is more things to talk about, and AWPers are more likely, mechanics, confidence, and positioning and stuff. But I think there was a lot of interesting points still. I have like 5 points that I want to share with you guys. We're starting with the first point, and that's about being hybrid. And we know that Monesi was before like the second AWP guy and wanted to become like the secondary AWPer, which means he would mainly rifle. But then he goes to AWP, right? For example, Zaivu, that even till this day he just want to play more with rifle, right? And it's kind of like a hybrid. So if you ask them this question, they will obviously tell you a lot about it. So the first thing, why is it important to become hybrid, or why is it important to become good at rifling, is that when you're not performing with AWP, you want to switch to rifle, and it's more comfortable for you. And I think this is really important to just like play really good with AWP, but if you actually can't find the impact, or for example are not performing, you want to pick the rifle. Also, another actually kind of obvious point is that on certain maps it's better to play just rifle than AWP, especially for example on Inferno T side, because it's like a short range map, plus you playing more like Banana, which is heavy blocked by utility, and other parts of the map, right? Also, there is like a Mirage T side where someone could say that it's better for you to stay rifling. I mean, really depends on the enemy team and how they play and how are you comfortable on it. But sometimes for me, for example, I like to even play more with rifle and make space, right? But the last and one thing that's why I basically tell you this is that from Monesi, he said that if team is playing like really passive because they are like heavy blocked by utility, it could be on every map. It's mainly focused on T side because CT side one always up. So on T side, if you're heavy blocked by utility, defense from enemy is really strong, and your team is kind of like a scared, passive, in that term, you should be the guy that should take a rifle and help with them with the rifle to make some certain place and space, basically. So I think this is really good what Monesi said here.
But sometimes when you play really slow in your team, I feel really passive, yeah, I cannot play like this.
you don't like that.
I cannot. Yes.
Right. There's some map like Inferno. I feel so much better to play with Zeke because it's close range. He cannot really pick. I mean, it's tougher to pick with the AWP. So there's some map. Mirage, I think, is also good for the T to have AWP. There's some map there is condition to play with it.
Second point is about AWP idols. So basically, Zaivu was asked and Monesi was asked about the question what their inspiration was in the past. For Zaivu, it was the Vice. He said that he was passive. Basically, he's like a more passive style. He's reliable and he's more like a by the book, right? More like, let's say, consistent, if I can call it like this. And then you have Monesi, which he said obviously the right opposite of it, and that's simple, which is more like aggressive, confident, and play by the intuition. So I think this is really good. But the most important again thing why basically come up with this point is that Zaivu said that it's so important to find a balance between those two styles.
So you cannot only play aggressive every round because people will be ready. They will show flash. They will show molly on you. So you need to know also to play passive and like
every style is good.
Yeah, every style is good.
Yeah.
It's really important because otherwise you will be countered by enemy team. It doesn't mean you are playing tier 1 and they will anti-strat you, but even in some ECA open, intermediate, whatever, when some teams even done anti-stratting the enemy future team, they will see in mid-game, okay, their enemy AWPer is aggressive, he's regressing, early peek in every round, let's just hold angles, and they will punish you for doing so. Then you have too much passive AWPer, which you can avoid by, for example, you have early round like really free space and you can work with it, right, on the map. So it's really important to find a balance between it, to not get anti-stratted and to not get, punished by doing so. So if you're too passive, try to learn also the aggressive side, and yeah, vice versa basically. Third point is preparation before the game, and obviously there was preparing like with mechanics to become confident, preparing with anti-stratting, playstyle, to be prepared for it, recapping utility and this basic stuff. But again, the one important thing that Saibu said here was that he likes to do self-scouting.
I said I'm not focused. I'm most likely focused on myself because I know people are maybe watching us Vitality, and we just need to focus on ourselves because there's a lot of anti-strats in the CS, and if you start to overthinking, it can be even worse for us. So I'm just not too much focusing on the enemy, but maybe on myself. What I did the game before, what pick I did, or like what position I take, and I think it's even good to think in this way to have maybe better positioning for the next game.
More self-scouting.
Yeah, kinda self-scouting to know like what the best for the future.
And I found that really interesting because I never heard about it before. And it's that concept when you are basically only focusing on yourself. You are focusing on yourself, on your positioning, and you analyzing the mistakes that you're doing during the match. So for example, okay, I should do this, I should do that, maybe my positioning was bad in this situation. And what is the most important thing about it is that you analyzing only yourself, which doesn't only make you like you are actually watching your demo back, in that term, if I can say it like this, but the most important thing is that you are not doing like those small bad habits that a lot of people do, like for example comparing through scoreboard with the enemy op, like if you have more kills, deaths, etc, etc, that distracts you a lot and can bring your confidence really down. And I named only this bad habit, but there is so many things like really small but they can distract you a lot. And also other thing that is important to keep in mind is that don't focus that much on enemy op, because obviously you want to focus on macro and stuff, what is happening in mid round, what enemies are doing, but don't focus that much on op because then you will start to overthink. So that's what basically Zybo said, and I think this is a really interesting point. So we have fourth point, and I think this point is like the best out of it. It's basically scaring opponents. And Monas explained it that he was watching Simple through some program when you have like these dots, you watch for example the whole game or 3 games maybe on the same map, and you can see where he's starting, and there is many dots on the round when basically Simple starting.
And you can see these dots where you more playing and when I clicked on Simple where he played on Mirage the most, like on City, he was like everywhere, you could always feel that wherever you go, you have to be ready for this pick, because he was everywhere, like picking on the ground, picking ups with open A, picking B ups, going aggressive middle, rushing rushing towards top mid with open, picking insta, and these things you had to be always ready for, and like obviously I think it's pretty annoying. Yeah.
And he was watching Mirage City, and you can see that the dots were spread out everywhere. And this is really important to understand because that means that first of all, Simple is really unpredictable, and second thing is that not only is unpredictable, but he's scaring opponents. Because if, for example, you are going to pick Palace, you are going to pick Ram, you are going to pick BFs, Short, Con, whatever it is, people will be scared, like a lot. And it's really important to scare enemies because obviously you have less rounds in CS2, you have less chance to have an op. But if you get it, try to be like scare the enemies. That's really important because, for example, if you pick Palace, the enemy Lurk will be scared, and what it does is that he will be more aware. He will say, okay, but what if he holding me, right? So he will take more time to do certain things. And if you are that unpredictable and you are that like really, I don't know, around every map, then for example the team can say, okay, let's do this call, but yeah, wait, Opera could be holding us, okay, or something like this. So it's really important to understand that scaring your enemies is really actually really good because he will earn that respect from the enemies, and they will be more scared to do some certain things. And yeah, basically only that can win you a lot of rounds. And last basically question that was asked was about clutches, how they are so successful in clutches, because as you can see, m0NESY and ZywOo are the most smartest and more successful in the clutches. And basically a lot of people, like, even if they're watching with X-Ray, they're saying, bro, those guys need to have some wall hack or something. Like, literally, this so, like, this game is just on another level. And so ZywOo said, just repeat, like the classic cliche answer. But I think it's really good to think about it, just because, let's say you're playing scrims with your team, or you're playing Face It. Your goal should be to post up yourself in clutchy situations. So you want to be more like a baity style, you know? You don't want to bait fully, you know, your team and stuff. You just want to be like the last, you know? More like baity, let's say. Bait your teammates, don't sacrifice that much, so you can get the opportunity to play a clutch, play many scenarios as possible, and sometimes it can be like, wait, I was already in this clutch, I know what to do. So yeah, I think this is actually really good to just repeat and repeat, but always is really like a simple answer that everyone can give. m0NESY is something really interesting. First, okay, you wanna play by the intuition, this is really important. Don't be scared, don't be, I don't know, just stuck in one position. Just play by your intuition, play like in flow state, that's really important. Also, you wanna think about information that was like 10 seconds ago, mainly about teammates' information, what they give you, where they are. This is really important. For example, I had a problem when I was ignoring teammates' information. Not on a purpose, but it was just like some unconscious thing. And for example, in clutches, I miss a lot of information where I could win the clutch probably. So yeah, this is like certain small things, but the most important thing that he said is he's really creative, and this is really good, because if you are actually enjoying the clutches and you are trying to be creative, is first of all really fun, and if it works, it's really cool to do something like this. But it's really good as well, because for example, if you watch m0NESY how he clutching, he has like those interesting gimmicks that he's doing. For example, he's faking a lot. He has like this flowy movement, you know, he's a lot jump spotting to gain information about enemies and other stuff like this. So yeah. Okay guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you're having a wonderful day. And yeah, I think this podcast was really interesting. If you have some ideas on a certain video, you can let me know in comments down below. Thank you for all your support, and see you next video. Bye.